What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to another episode of the Chatting with Cheeze podcast. I'm your host, Fat Cheeze, and y'all already know the motto: no gimmicks, only the real. And this is episode 63. Now, y'all already know before we get started what I need y'all to do. I need y'all to like and share the content when it drops. I also need y'all to continue to smash that subscribe button. We are now on the road to 400 subscribers, man. And before we go any further or jump into this episode, man, I want to thank everybody who went and tapped into the Ant Brown Jr. interview. The numbers are going crazy right now. The feedback that I'm getting right now has been nothing but love, super good. So if you haven't tapped in, before you watch this episode, make sure you go lock in with that Ant Brown Jr. interview. And man, let me know what you think. Let me know how you feel. Comment, give me your feedback, share it out. Do whatever you need to do to keep those numbers rising. And let's go ahead and jump right into it, man. So the first topic I have for y'all today is, to me, this was the best game of Sunday. You had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road against the Seattle Seahawks that ended in a thriller fashion. The Buccaneers ended up leaving out of that game victorious off of a late field goal. But the question that I have for y'all out there, and I want y'all to comment below and let me know what y'all think: are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a legit Super Bowl contender? So Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold squared off in Seattle in a Sunday afternoon thriller. Mayfield ultimately outdued Darnold as his Tampa Bay Buccaneers secure a 38-35 come from behind win over the Seattle Seahawks. Mayfield led the Bucs to a game time touchdown with 108 remaining. Then a tough luck Darnold interception set the Bucs up for a game time field goal as time expired. Darnold threw a pass that ricocheted off the helmet of Bucs defensive end Logan Hall at the line of scrimmage and into the hands of linebacker Levante David. For the day, Baker Mayfield completed 29 of 33 passes for 379 yards with 2 touchdowns and no turnovers. He hit for multiple big chunk plays and threw the game-time 11-yard touchdown to Sterling Shepard. There was concern in Tampa Bay that the exit of former offensive coordinator Liam Cohen to the Jacksonville Jaguars would temper an offense that thrived last season, but there's been little sign of decline this season thus far as the Bucs maintain control of the NFC South in their quest for a 5th consecutive division title. Mayfield entered Sunday having thrown 8 touchdowns and just 1 interception in Tampa Bay's 3-1 start before his 0 turnover effort against the Seahawks. Injuries to top receivers Mike Evans and Chris Godwin have also done little to slow Tampa Bay down. With both those aforementioned wide receivers absent for multiple games this season, Mayfield has looked to first-round rookie Emeka Egbuka as his number 1 target to great success. Egbuka entered Sunday with a team-high 282 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns on 18 catches. He added to that tally against the Seahawks with 7 catches for 163 yards and a touchdown. His catch of a 57-yard bomb from Mayfield in the third quarter turned 3rd and 13 into a 1st and goal and set up a go-ahead Bucs touchdown. So my thoughts on this: are the Bucs a legit Super Bowl contender? Absolutely they are. Baker Mayfield has been playing some of the best ball of his career. You know, the questions came after Baker was released from the Browns, after being the number 1 overall pick. He didn't have a good stint there, went to Carolina, wasn't very good there, ended up being released from there, headed to the Los Angeles Rams, and now he's left there after a couple of games with them. And ever since he's touched base in Tampa Bay, he has just excelled at another level. This Tampa Bay team, no, I don't feel like any top team in the NFC currently right now wants to see them. Yes, they did lose to the Philadelphia Eagles last week, but the way that they rallied in that second half, the first half was pedestrian. They didn't look good at all in the first half. The way that they came out in that second half and actually had a chance to make that game competitive against Philly and then be able to go on the road, not only without Mike Evans, but then Bucky Irvin, their star running back, and still be able to come out on top with that victory. We all know Seattle was a tough is a tough place to play. For them to go out there and be able to pull out that victory, that right there is phenomenal. Emeka Egbuka is a stud. He's a star. He's been a star since stepping into that role in Tampa Bay. And right now, I think it's not crazy to say Emeka Egbuka is the number one receiver in Tampa Bay. Yes, they still have Mike Evans. He's out with the injury, but we also know Mike Evans is kind of getting up there in age. They needed somebody to come in and be ready to take the void for Mike Evans, and Emeka Egbuka has done that tremendously. I think early he's become Baker Mayfield. It's easy to see if you watch the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's become his favorite target. You know what I'm saying? But what they are getting, what this team has been able to do so far this season, I think right now you could honestly say they're a top 3 team in the NFC. You have Detroit, you have Philly, and I think you could put Tampa Bay up there with both of those teams. And also, you know, I just think that they just look good to come out week 1. I believe they played the Texans. The Texans may have been week 2. I'm thinking of their schedule. They had the Texans. They played the Jets. They lost to Philly. They just beat Seattle. I can't remember. I know I'm missing a team in there. I can't remember who their week 1 game was against. But long story short, Tampa Bay has looked fantastic. Like I said, and also Baker Mayfield does deserve to be in the MVP conversation. If we're talking about just up to, you know, this week, just leading up to this week 5, Baker Mayfield, and especially after what he just did in Seattle, Baker Mayfield absolutely deserves to be in the MVP conversation. And we're not going to gloss over the fact we got to give some credit to Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles has been doing a fantastic job. I know he's a man of not many words, but he's been doing a fantastic job. Like they said in this article here, a lot of people thought that the offense would fall off after losing Liam Cohen to a head coaching job in Jacksonville. And this offense, to me, it doesn't look like they have fallen off not one bit, especially being without their number 1 guy, Mike Evans. They got Chris Godwin back late, and, you know, he still got to get his legs under him and things like that. But it doesn't look like this offense has lost a beat, and I think that's on the back of the way that Baker Mayfield has played. And, you know, it's just phenomenal. Other than the Philly game is honestly the only game that you could say that they didn't look good, and that was in the first half. In the second half, they looked like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that we had seen through the first 3 weeks. You know, that night game against, that Monday night game against the Houston Texans, they went out there. That was tough. You know, Houston was battling. We didn't know what Houston was gonna look like up until that point, you know, because they had a lot of question marks coming into the season. But that was a tough game. Bucs were able to battle and were able to win that game late, you know, and then to lose the Philly, but then to turn around after that Philly loss and go on the road. No matter what you want to say about Seattle, Seattle has looked solid this year. They have some good wins on their resume so far this year. And for the Bucs to be able to go into Seattle, which is a tough place to play, which is a very tough, everybody knows, regardless of what the record is, that's a tough environment to play in. And for them to go in there and be able to pull that victory out on the back of a late Sam Darnold interception. Sam Darnold had a phenomenal game himself too, but that late interception basically sealed the deal for them. But for them to go in there and be able to pull out that victory, I feel like that was very big, and that's a confidence booster for them moving forward. You know, but that late touchdown when Seattle went up, for the Bucs to be able to drive down the field and for Baker to make a play to find Sterling Shepard in the end zone, you know, to tie that game up, that's big right there. That right there just has just been in a shell what Baker has been so far this year. And I think Baker deserves a lot of credit. Like I said, I think right now it's not crazy to say, I think Baker is in the MVP conversation. His name should be, when we talking about top performers and top guys so far this season, and it's early. It is early, so we have time to wait and see how things, you know, work his way out throughout the season. But right now, Baker Mayfield should definitely be in that MVP conversation, and this win is huge. Like I said, not only did they not have, you know, 2 top guys on their offense out this week, they also was without Jamel Dean, who's their best corner on the defensive side of the ball. You seen it. They allowed Seattle to put up 35 points, but that offense came in the clutch. Somehow they keep managing to find these guys, these wide receivers. They hit on Mike Evans, they hit on Chris Godwin, and now they turn around and hit on Emeka Egbuka. Emeka Egbuka is a stud, and trust me, I'm benefiting off of him and Baker the most because I got both of them on my fantasy team. So shout out to both of those guys, man. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are absolutely a legit Super Bowl contender. I felt as though last year, you know, they were really competitive and they would have had a shot. I wouldn't say I had them going to the Super Bowl last year, but that was a team you didn't want to see. They so happily lost to a red-hot Washington team, and I felt like that game was pretty close until, you know, Baker and them, they tried to do like a trick play with a running back. I mean, with a wide receiver, a wide receiver handoff. Play got all mixed up. The ball was mishandled or whatever. Baker trying to hand it off. It was a fumble, and I felt like that turned the game on its head. But other than that, that game was very competitive. But with the way that this offense is looking right now, without two of their star guys and Mike Evans and Bucky Irvin, if they can get completely healthy, the Bucs are a team that you don't want to see. The Bucs are a team that you do not want to have to see right now or later in the season because they're going to scare a lot of teams. I wish I can. Matter of fact, I don't even gotta wish. I can find out right now. I know that they had a very competitive game with the Jets. 3 of their games was very competitive. This past week in Seattle against the Jets, against the Texans, and they lost to. And matter of fact, no, I might be right because I think they 4-1. So yeah. They 4-1 because they beat the Jets, Texans, Seattle, and they lost to Philly. It's somebody I'm missing. It's somebody I'm missing. I can't think of it right now. But matter of fact, we're going to find out. We got nothing but time, man. Sit back, relax. We got nothing but time. We're going to find out. We're going to find out who, you know what I'm saying, they games. Because I can't think of it off the top of my head. Who I'm missing a game. So, let me see. We missing a game. Okay. Boom. Week 1, Atlanta. There you go. So week 1 to Atlanta was also a nip and tuck game. They won that by 3 points, 20-23. Then they turned around and beat the Texans by 1 point, 20-19. They beat the Jets by 2, 29-27. Lost to Philly 31-25. And then so all their games been close. But like I said, they have been finding ways in these late game scenarios. And this right here contributes to what Baker Mayfield has done. They have found a way in these late games to be able to find ways to pull out these victories. And I just feel like the way that Baker Mayfield is playing, for him to come into that game with and leave out of Seattle with no interceptions, no turnovers, not putting his team in bad situations. I just think Baker has been playing out of his mind. You know what I'm saying? He entered Sunday with 8 touchdowns and just 1 interception. And he left that Seattle game with 0 turnovers. Baker has been playing out of his mind. He deserves to be in that conversation. Emeka Egbuka deserves to be in that conversation for Offensive Rookie of the Year. This team right now, they have a great connection going. Once Chris Godwin gets his legs back under him, and then once you get Mike Evans back with Bucky Irvin, this team could be scary for any other team, top team in the NFC to want to see, and they are absolutely Super Bowl contenders. But I want y'all to comment below and let me know what y'all think. Is Tampa Bay a legit Super Bowl contender, or are they just rallying late in these games and finding ways to win? Y'all let me know what y'all think. But right now, in my opinion, I have them as a Super Bowl contender, and I believe also, this is a hot take, Todd Bowles right now should be a candidate for Coach of the Year. But y'all let me know what y'all think, man, and we're going to move on. So, my next joint I got for y'all, right? This was a game that I really paid attention to on Sunday. But this topic right here may be a head scratcher for some of y'all. But this is something that I thought about yesterday, you know, just coming up with my topics. And this was something that I actually had it in a group text. And then I said, you know what, this is a topic that I'm going to bring to the show. And I want y'all to let me know how y'all feel about it. So on Sunday, my Dallas Cowboys defeated the New York Jets 37-22. But the question that I had coming out of this game, did Aaron Glenn make a mistake taking the Jets head coaching job? And I know a lot of y'all might say, huh? Well, this is an opportunity, him going back to coach a former team. He's been a hot candidate after coming off of what he did with that Detroit defense last year. You know, what you mean, Cheeze? What you mean, did he make a mistake taking the job? I'm going to read this article that I got, and then I'm going to give y'all my opinion on it. So, the struggling New York Jets and many of their frustrated fans are on conflicting timelines. It's year one of a major rebuild for Aaron Glenn. It feels like forever for those still rooting for the team. Glenn, a former star player who returned as team head coach in January, inspired confidence with talk of changing the culture and turning around the franchise. He dismissed the notion that even though their early season struggles, these are not the same old Jets. But now the Jets are 0-5 and the NFL's lone winless team after a loss to the Cowboys 37-22 on Sunday. Yes, we are here to win now, Glenn reiterated. Have we done it yet? No, we haven't. I understand that. We are 0-5 and we own that. But I do know this. That's not going to stop us from doing everything we can to win. So absolutely, we are here to win now like every other coach is. But Glenn is now on the wrong side of franchise history. He's the first Jets coach to begin his tenure with 5 losses, and this is only the 4th time they are 0-5. New York has no takeaways on defense in the first 5 games, 30 accepted penalties in the last 3 games, several missed tackles, and countless mental mistakes. Defensive tackle Harrison Phillips says Glenn has kept the locker room together through it all, avoiding the feeling of here we go again and not wavering from the process. It's not lip service with AG, Phillips said. You can feel his passion. When he looks in your eyes, it's like he's looking into your soul. He added, he sees what we have, he sees what we're going through, and he believes in it. So why shouldn't you? My thoughts on this right here, and before I give my thoughts on this topic, I don't want to make this like a race thing, and I don't want to make this as if I'm race baiting, right? But in my honest opinion, if I was Aaron Glenn, I would have kind of thought about if I wanted to take this job. And the reason being is because we've seen this story before. We've seen this story before with other African American coaches. You know, they become hot candidates. Finally, when they get a job, they go into these horrific franchises, and all the pressure is on them to turn it around. And then when they're not able to turn it around, then eventually they lose their job. And then, you know, they're scapegoated, and they really don't get any other chances after that. Already, just by me reading this article, I didn't like this part right here. But Glenn is now on the wrong side of franchise history. He's the first Jets coach to begin his tenure with 5 losses, and this is only the 4th time they are on 5. Now, my question is this, and I understand he took the job because, let's just be honest, a lot of African-American coaches, they don't get a lot of chances in the NFL. We see that. That's not nothing that I'm pulling out the sky. You know what I'm saying? This is fact. We know that. So he's seen an opportunity to become a head coach, something that he's probably always wanted to do, and also to go back and coach his former team to see if he could turn it around. But this is a bad football team. This is a bad football team, and I feel like it's unfair to him because, you know, he could be trying his hardest to turn this thing around, preach to these guys and discipline, and this is what we need to do because he's coming from a winning culture. The Detroit Lions have been a winning football team for some time now, since being under Dan Campbell. That's where Aaron Glenn is coming from. So he understands what it takes to win. This is not a good football team, and I feel like it's unfair to him that he has to come in here and try to, which is something that he was willing to accept, but he has to come in here and try to pick up the pieces and turn this thing around. And I just feel like this is something that he should have thought about. I'm gonna just call it what it is. I don't think this was a job he should have took. The Jets are not good. And a lot of people may not want to hear this. Justin Fields, and I'm not putting all the blame on Justin Fields. Justin Fields is not a starting quarterback in the NFL. Does Justin Fields show flashes? Yes. Can Justin Fields move his athleticism, run? Yes. But outside of that, Justin Fields is not a good quarterback. I don't think he reads the field well. He holds the ball entirely too long. And he's just not I don't think he's the best decision maker, overthrowing guys. I just don't think Justin Fields is a good starting quarterback. I like Breece Hall a lot, but Breece Hall had a costly fumble Sunday that, to me, flipped the game on his head. I think that they have some decent weapons on the outside with Garrett Wilson. They have Lazard. I feel like, decent weapons, but Justin Fields is not the guy that I think can unlock anything in those guys. You feel what I'm saying? Like, Garrett Wilson, he just has it. Garrett Wilson, to me, is a top 15 receiver in the league. Garrett Wilson is going to do his thing. But those other receivers, I don't think you need a quarterback that can unlock that. You get what I'm saying? If that makes sense. Justin Fields is not the guy for that. Then something that you considered a strong suit for the Jets, which was their offensive line. Their offensive line leading up to the Cowboys game was pretty good. You would honestly say that probably was a strong suit for them. And the offensive line just made so many costly mistakes on Sunday that it was unbelievable. And I'm watching the game. So many penalties. Then you have the Breece Hall fumble. You can't generate any turnovers on defense. Not an interception, not a fumble. You can't. It's like Aaron Glenn's arms are like tied behind his back. It's like he can't do anything. And you could see every single time something happened, they're panning the camera over to him. And it's like, bro, it's nothing that I can do. And like I said, we've seen this story before. We've seen it with so many guys, but I'm just speaking on the African-American part of this thing. We've seen it because, like I said, we know how this thing is going to go. We know he's going to try to go years and years trying to fix this thing because this is going to take a lot of work. This is not something that you just fix in a year. This is not something that you just fix in 2 years. This may be not something that you fix in 3 years, as bad as this team looks. And he'll ultimately probably lose his job. I'm not hoping that on him. I hope that they can flip things around mighty quickly. But you got Jets fans that haven't seen this team do anything in years, that want results now. Like, they want to win now. You got fans spending their hard-earned money for tickets. They don't want to sit back and watch this team get the doors blown off of them every week or keep constantly losing these close games. They don't want to see that because they've been seeing it. But I just feel so bad for him. And I think, we watch other coaches do. I think when these jobs become available, especially, I'm speaking for the African Americans. And like I said, I'm not trying to make this a race thing or anything like that. But when these jobs come available, I think sometimes you got to think and you got to honestly look at the situation and say, is this something that I want to put myself in? And I understand when you're a coordinator for so long and you're doing a hell of a job, I think, you want to eventually become a head coach. But I'll give you an example. Someone who was on that Detroit's coaching staff with him, Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson was the hottest head coaching candidate the year before last. And he didn't see anything out there that he liked. He decided to go back to Detroit for another year. A lot of people thought the year before last Ben Johnson was going to be gone. He decided to go back to Detroit for another year, do the offensive coordinator thing again. And then when he seen a job that was appealing to him with the team, with the after drafting Caleb Williams, he felt like a team that had a quarterback he could work with and things of that nature. Then he decided to take the Bears job. I don't think Aaron Glenn would have been wrong if he would have said, you know what, it's not this, that thing over there is not working. I don't see where I can go over there and make things better and make an immediate impact on winning at that franchise. Let me just go ahead and maybe think about this. Or let me go back to Detroit and be the defensive coordinator for maybe a year. We know jobs are going to become available after that and see if something better would have came along. But I don't think this is a job that Aaron Glenn should have took because this team, they're just not good. Like, I hate to say it, I don't think Justin Fields is a franchise quarterback. I don't think Justin Fields is a starting quarterback, let alone a franchise quarterback. I don't think the defense is terrible. The offensive line make too many mental mistakes that's going to lose you ball games. Breece Hall cannot fumble the football, when your team is driving and can possibly get points out of a drive. You can't do it. It's like certain things you can't do. That game versus the Cowboys on Sunday was over in the first half. Nobody thought the Jets had a chance to come back and win that football game. It's just not a good football team. And like I said, we've seen this before where coaches get scapegoated. And if we been keeping it all the way 100, African-American coaches are more than likely to get scapegoated, be the first ones to get scapegoated. And then he'll lose the job with the Jets, go be a coordinator again, and we probably will never see him get a head coaching job in the NFL again. All because he decided to take a job with the New York Jets. And I'm not blaming him. Because like I said, we know in the NFL, people can fake it and act like they don't know all they want. But we know in the NFL that these jobs don't come that often for African-American coaches. We know it. Other than Mike Tomlin, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's be all the way honest. So that's my thoughts on it. But again, I want y'all to comment down below and let me know what y'all think. Do you feel like Aaron Glenn made a mistake taking this head coaching job? Or do you feel like, hey man, these jobs don't come that often. It's only 32 of them. He had to do what he had to do, and we'll just see what happened. But right now, it's not looking good, man. It's not. 0-5. You can't generate turnovers. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know how many games this team wins. I really don't. But they've been in a lot of close games. They've been in a lot. Week 1, how they played against the Steelers, only losing that game by 2 points. I said, hey, man, the Jets may have something. A lot of people was riding the Justin Fields hype off of week 1. I never really bought into it because at this point in his career, I know what Justin Fields is. I know what he is. And then week 3, they lost by 2 points to the Bucs. And then week 4, they lost by 6 to the Dolphins. But, they've been in some games where they could have actually won these ball games. They just couldn't do anything, in those, and when it mattered to win those games. But the Dallas game, it looked like everything just unraveled. It looked like, they came in with question marks saying, well, if this game is nip and tuck, can they make winning plays to be able to win this game? And it's like everything just unraveled after that. The offense didn't look good. The defense still looked terrible. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I don't know what he really can do at this point. I mean, eventually you could keep saying the same thing. We'll get better. We gonna do what we gotta do to win ball games. But you 0-5. I mean, let's just keep it 100. The season is kind of like virtually over. You lose 2 more times, the season is basically virtually over. And then you in a division with the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots. 2 teams that look. The Dolphins are not very good either. Both of y'all are fighting for who gonna be 4th in the division, but with those 2 teams, you don't have a chance to compete in the division anyway. But right now, it's just not looking good. So y'all let me know in the comments what y'all think, man. Did Aaron Glenn make a mistake taking this Jets job, or should he, just wait this thing out and see how it goes? Y'all let me know what y'all think. Moving on, we're gonna switch to college football for a little bit. I don't think I talked about no college since my man Sean was on. So we had 2 big upsets this past Saturday. You had Penn State losing to the winless UCLA, and you also had the Texas Longhorns losing to the Florida Gators, who haven't looked very good this year. So the question that I have is, who is the biggest disappointment? Because we know this year, the big talk was that this year's draft class for quarterbacks was going to be out of this world. You got Arch Manning, who everybody was talking about like the second coming of Brady, or Peyton, whatever. Peyton, we'll say Peyton since that's his family. You had Drew Allar out of Penn State. You had Sellers out of South Carolina. A bunch of guys. This was supposed to be that class, and Since this college football season has started, it has been completely underwhelming. So the question that I have is, who is the biggest disappointment? Arch Manning or Drew Allar? In my opinion, I think it's Arch Manning by far. Like, I don't think it's close. Drew Allar has been a disappointment, but I think Drew Allar played decent enough for them to beat UCLA. I think it's time for James Franklin to go in Penn State. I think James Franklin time is up. I think they need to go ahead and pay that $50 million buyout and get somebody else in there. You bring in a new offensive coordinator. You bring in, I believe they brought in a new offense and defensive coordinator, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that. And for you to, everybody gave them a pass when they lost to Oregon. You know, that's a top 10 matchup. You know those games could go either way. I picked Oregon to win that game. But then for you to turn around and lose to a winless UCLA team, and they was actually getting punished for most part of the game, you know what I'm saying? That right there, the defense that allowed the quarterback, I don't feel like trying to pronounce his name right now. This is no disrespect to him, but y'all know who I'm talking about. I think they allow him to score like 4 touchdowns on the ground, 3 or 4 touchdowns on the ground. But I think, so that's my thing with Penn State. I think Drew Allar has not played good, but I think the coach, I think it's time for James Franklin to go. But for me, Arch Manning is the biggest disappointment by far. And the reason I say Arch Manning is the biggest disappointment is because the expectation. And we all know the expectation, that's the biggest thing. Expectations were very high for Arch Manning this year. People were calling for Quinn Ewers to be, people was ready for Quinn Ewers to leave Texas for Arch Manning to get his shot. Arch Manning was supposed to be the guy to get Texas over the top, and he just hasn't done that. I gave him a pass after their week 1 loss against Ohio State, again, because a top 10 matchup. You know those games could go either way. They playing the defending national champions. Arch did not look good in that game at all. Overthrowing guys, underthrowing guys. He did not look good at all. I gave him a pass for that. I said, you know, first game, you got the jitters, but I'm going to give him some time. Then he goes out and beats 3 nobodies, punishes them, and then you got everybody singing his praises again, and then he goes out here against Florida and doesn't look good at all. And now they're unranked. This was the AP number 1 ranked team coming into this season, coming into this college season, and now they're unranked. It's been horrible. And a lot of y'all gave his granddad flack because he said that Arch would stay another year after this year. A lot of y'all gave him flack saying that, oh, he don't know what he talking about. Hey, man, sometimes your family knows a lot of things before you do. Before the people outside, you got to think he's watching him way more than us. So for him to come out and say that, apparently he may have seen something that a lot of us didn't see. But Arch Manning has struggled in his first season as Texas starting quarterback, showing inconsistent play, poor mechanics, and lack of confidence in the pocket, leading to poor reads, rush progression, and higher than expected pressure rate. While the coaching staff and some observers note he is still adjusting to the speed of the college game, and the expectations were out of control. Issues like missing open receivers, bad decision making under pressure. But also a significant factor in his struggles is the poor protection from the offensive line, which has been unable to prevent pressure, leaving Manning exposed and forcing him to make difficult plays under duress. As a first-year starter, Manning is adjusting to the higher speed of college football, especially against Power 5 defenses. His fast-paced play style can lead to him being too quick for offense to develop, causing him to miss opportunities. Like I said, man, the expectations were out the window for Arch, and I just think that sometimes, you know, it's okay if Arch is not Peyton. It's okay if Arch is not Eli. You feel what I'm saying? But the expectations were very high. And I was watching Nightcap with Shannon Sharp, Chad Ochocinco, and now they have Johnny Manziel coming on that time. Shout out to Nightcap. And Johnny Manziel made a point. You know, when Arch was in high school and we was getting all of those highlight videos and highlight things of that nature that we were seeing of him, you know, those schools and stuff that Arch was going against and all that, those wasn't like top guys, like those wasn't like top schools. where he was at. I believe it might have been Texas. Johnny Manziel spoke on it. Look it up and you'll see what I'm talking about. And it's different making that transition. Bro, you're at Texas. They are in the hardest conference in college football. The SEC is basically the pro level in college football. That's what it is. And when they put you, this is probably why Steve Sarkisian, they didn't feel comfortable starting Arch from the beginning. That's why they went with Quint Ewers. And people could say whatever they want about Quint Ewers. I was a fan of Quint Ewers. Did I think he was the best? No. But I think Quint Ewers was a good decision maker. I think Quint Ewers made big plays when it was time to make them. I'll give you an example. Against Arizona State, that big throw, that big throw that he made down the field to Matthew Golden, I believe, to take that game into overtime, and they ultimately won that game, I believe. I can't remember, but it was last year. Y'all know the game I'm talking about. But things like that. That's what Quint Ewers was doing. You know what I'm saying? And to have all that pressure on Arch, everybody was clamoring for it. We want Arch. We want Arch. We want Arch. And now you get him, and for him to look the way he looked, Arch does not look good. He doesn't. He doesn't look comfortable. He doesn't look like he can read the defenses very well. He looked like he's rushing, bad reads, underthrown balls, overthrown balls. He don't look good. Now, I gave them a pass for losing to Ohio State. You can't lose that game to Florida. You just can't. Especially not after you then railroaded three teams, three nobodies to go. Florida hasn't looked good at all. These past couple of weeks, Florida has not looked good all year. And for you to go in there and lose that game with the hype and the talent that this Texas team was supposed to have, and everybody was saying that this was the year for Texas because of Arch. So I think Arch has been the biggest disappointment. Speaking of Quint Ewers, he took this Texas Longhorn team to the college football playoff semifinals in 2023 and 2024. So I bet all of y'all that was clamoring for Arch, y'all miss Quint Ewers now. But hey, it is what it is, man. But see, and once again, I'm not trying to, but I gotta say it. Y'all know I keep it real. We gotta have the same energy for Arch that y'all was giving to Shedeur. Remember when Shedeur transferred from Jackson State to Colorado, and that first year was very underwhelming? Y'all gave Shedeur and Dion and them hell. Y'all gave them hell. But I will be honest, I have been seeing a lot of Texas fans giving Arch hell too. But it ain't as hot. It ain't all over man. When Colorado was losing with Shedeur, it was plastered everywhere. I don't see a lot of people talking about Arch. I do not see it, because one thing I can say, Shadeur's first season at Colorado after transfer from Jackson State, he looked way better than Arch looked right now with Texas. Now, I understand Arch is in the SEC and Shedeur wasn't. But, hey, we got to call a spade a spade. But right now, I'm going to say that the biggest disappointment to me is Arch Manning by far. And I do believe Arch Manning, it's clear as day now. He has no choice. He has to come back. But like I said, I like what Johnny Manziel said on the Nightcap show. He said that realistically, Arch has 2 years to get it together. If I'm Arch Manning, I come back next year, I stay my full length. And then I enter the draft. And maybe come 2028 or whatever, he's the number one pick prospect and number one pick in the draft again. But this year right here, I think it's been a wash. It hasn't been good at all. And I think he's been the biggest disappointment. I will put him over Drew Allar as who's been the biggest disappointment this year. But y'all comment below and, man, let me know what y'all think. And we're going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. Y'all know I got to give y'all my picks, so give me 1 second. Let me pull it up real quick. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up this schedule for week 5, and I'm going to go ahead and give y'all my picks. 1 second. Oh, man, I said week 5. I'm sorry, y'all. Week 6. I'm sorry. Week 6. Let me get it together. Week 6. I hope I ain't been saying week. I hope I ain't been getting my weeks wrong all through this episode. I hope not. But hey, if I did, y'all know what I meant. Y'all know my heart. So look, we're gonna start off with Thursday night football. You have the Philadelphia Eagles on the road going to play the New York Giants. I got the Eagles winning that one comfortably. The Giants just lost to the Saints. I still think the Giants are trying to rebuild that thing. Jackson Dart, this will be his third game as a starter. They may go out there and, give Philly a run for their money, but I got Philly in that one. Moving on, we got the Denver Broncos going up against the New York Jets. We just spoke on the New York Jets and Aaron Glenn. I got the Broncos in that game comfortably. And shout out to the Broncos for being able to come back on it. I ain't going to be biased, but the Broncos just had a comeback victory against the defending champ Philadelphia Eagles, ending their undefeated season so far. So I got the Broncos in that game comfortably. Moving on, you got the Seahawks going on the road to go against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hey, the Jacksonville Jaguars played some good ball yesterday. I fell asleep during the game, but I watched the highlights, man. Hey, Jacksonville pulled it out, and man, Jacksonville look good right now. They on the winning side of things, man. So 4-1, they looking good. I'm gonna go with Jacksonville in that game. I think that game is gonna be very close, though. It wouldn't shock me if Seattle pulled that one out, trying to get a bounce back from that late Tampa Bay loss. So I'm gonna go with Jacksonville in that game. Moving on, you got the Chargers versus the Dolphins. I'm gonna go with Chargers, but that game right there, the Dolphins are just bad. I have the Chargers winning that game, but the Chargers are fool's gold to me. After just losing this game the way they did to Washington and then losing a week before to the Giants, and now you have Amarian Hampton going on IR. They just in a bad spot, but I have to pick a winner in this game, so I'm going to go with the Chargers. Moving on, you have the Rams playing the on the road going against the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Rams win this game comfortably. The Ravens just don't look good. Drop some snippets. John Harbaugh may be on the hot seat to lose his job. Zach Orr, I'm surprised that he still has his job up to this point because this doesn't look like a Baltimore Ravens team that we used to. I picked them to beat the Texans, and they got the doors blown off of them. So I'm going to go with the Rams in that one. I think the Rams win that ball game. Moving on, you have the Arizona Cardinals on the road to play the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts in that one. They playing good football. A lot of y'all owe Daniel Jones an apology. I told y'all still sitting back waiting for him to turn into the Giants Daniel Jones, and so far it ain't happening. So I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts in that one. Next up, you got the Dallas Cowboys on the road to play the Carolina Panthers, and this one right here is tricky. I'm going to go with the Cowboys, but I feel like that could be a trap game for the Cowboys. Carolina had a good comeback this past week versus the Dolphins. Granted, it was the Dolphins, but hey, Carolina was able to come back and win that game. I think the Cowboys is going to pose on the offensive side of the ball is going to pose a way bigger threat. Dak Prescott is playing at an MVP level, so I think that one is going to be good, but I got the Cowboys winning that one. Moving on, you got the New England Patriots versus the New England Patriots on the road versus the Saints. I got the Patriots winning that one. And the Patriots, hey, I was debating if I wanted to talk about Arch and them or the Patriots in this one. Hey, watch out for the Patriots. Drake May has got his feet under him now. He playing some good ball. Stephon Diggs went in the time machine and reverted back to his old self. But watch out for this Patriots team, man. Hey, listen, shout out to Mike Vrabel and them boys, man. And, hey, you could look at their schedule because I don't remember it right now off the top of my head. But if you look at that schedule, I think that the Patriots, we could look up and the Patriots could easily be 6-2, 7-2. I don't remember it exactly, but I looked at it yesterday when I knew I was going to talk about them briefly. And I'm like, man, they schedule is pretty favorable, man. So we could look up and the Patriots could possibly, after beating the Buffalo Bills, if Buffalo was to maybe drop another one, we could look up and the Patriots could be leading that division. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, shout out to them. What they got going on. Shout out to Drake May, Stephon Diggs. Hey, we got to see how this thing keep going. But I got them over the Saints this week. Moving on, you got the Cleveland Browns on the road playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. I got the Steelers in that one. And I think the Steelers win that game, but I think it's going to be close. Hey, shout out to Dylan Gabriel. One thing about it, I know everybody's clamoring for Shador. I know it. But Dylan Gabriel went out there and looked pretty solid against that Minnesota team on Sunday morning. He looked solid. I watched the whole game. I felt like his decision-making was pretty good. He didn't make any crucial mistakes. You know what I'm saying? And that was a Minnesota Vikings defense that was looking very good leading up to that game. So I think Dylan Gabriel went out there and looked solid. So, you know, I think this is a division game. You know what I'm saying? So I think this one could be closer than a lot of people think. But I got the Pittsburgh Steelers taking that one. Next up, you got the Tennessee Titans on the road versus the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm going to take Tennessee in that one. Tennessee was able to come back and get a scrappy win versus the Arizona Cardinals. And I just think, Las Vegas just doesn't look good. Geno Smith has looked horrible. He was benched in that game. Versus he was benched in that game against the this past week against the Colts, and they just don't look good. The offensive line is not very good. So I'm gonna be honest with you. I think I'm picking Tennessee. I'm picking Tennessee to go on the road again and beat the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm looking to make sure. I gotta make sure I have my facts straight. And the way that this landscaping thing is looking, you sometimes it's kind of hard to tell who's gonna be home and away. Yeah, so Tennessee is gonna be on the road again for the second consecutive week, and I got them going to Vegas and beating the Raiders. Moving on, you got the San Francisco 49ers on the road going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I got the Buccaneers in this one, but hey, that's going to be a hell of a game. Tampa Bay coming off that close victory against Seattle, and San Francisco going on the road and beating the Raiders the Rams on the Thursday night game. A very nip and tuck ball game. Mac Jones looked very solid. The defense looked solid. That's going to be a close ball game, but I just think that Tampa Bay offense is very good. Baker Mayfield is playing at an MVP level, like I talked about in my first segment. Emeka Egbuka looks like a star in this league, so I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay in that game in a very close one. Next up, you got the Bengals versus the Green Bay Packers on the road. I'm going with Green Bay, and I think Green Bay wins that game comfortably. The Bengals are just they just not good. They traded for Joe Flacco today. That doesn't change anything. It's just bad for the Bengals. So I think their coach gets fired after this year, and it's just all around bad. But I'm gonna go with Green Bay in that one. There's no need to dive into that. I got Green Bay comfortably. Next up, you got the Detroit Lions on the road versus the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday night. That's going to be a pretty entertaining game, but I got Detroit going on the road and beating the Kansas City Chiefs. After Kansas City just lost last night in a close one to the Jacksonville Jaguars, it just doesn't look like the same Chiefs team. I know they got Xavier Worthy back, and you know what I'm saying, the offense definitely looks better, but right now Detroit just looks like a machine. They look like now, after that Week 1 whooping that they took against Green Bay, they've gotten their feet under them. They look like the old Detroit teams from years past. I think they continue that. I think they go on the road and they beat Kansas City. Moving on, you have a Monday night doubleheader. The first Monday night game kicking off, you got the Buffalo Bills on the road against the Atlanta Falcons. I think Buffalo gets their face back. I think they go on the road and beat the Falcons. I know that Atlanta scored 0 points against the Carolina Panthers, and then they turned around and beat the Washington Commanders. But you got to understand, Marcus Mariota was starting. They didn't have Jaden Daniels. Terry McLaurin didn't play. I think if Jaden Daniels plays that game, Washington ultimately wins that game, because even when Marcus Mariota starting, Atlanta only won that game, I think, by a touchdown, if I'm not mistaken. So I got Buffalo going on the road, getting their face back, winning that game. And then you have the Chicago Bears on the road Monday night going up against the Washington Commanders. The rematch of the most craziest game last year, the Hail Mary from Jaden Daniels. You got that rematch on Monday night. I'm going to go with the Washington Commanders at home. I just think with Jaden Daniels back, I think that it's a completely different team. You've seen it on the road against the Chargers this past week. I think that Jaden Daniels finally looked like himself from last year this week. Leading up before the injury, he didn't really look like old Jaden Daniels, but you got to understand, teams adjust, and it took some time, and then he got injured against the Packers, missed 2 games. So this past Sunday, I think that was him getting his feet back under him, and he looked like old Jaden Daniels. But the Bears have been playing some good football as of late too, so that's going to be a hell of an entertaining game. But I'm gonna go with Washington in that one, in a very close one. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this episode, up. Those are my picks for week 6. I got it right this time, y'all. So week 6. Those are my picks for week 6, man. And y'all know I appreciate y'all for topping in with me each and every week. Like I said before, y'all know what I need from y'all. Like and share the content when it drops. Continue to smash that subscribe button. We are now on a new journey. We are on our way to 400 subscribers. I appreciate all my supporters, every one of y'all who tap in with me each and every week, man. And we building something special over here, man. Like I said, if y'all haven't went and watched that Ant Brown Jr. interview, y'all need to go tap into that, man. A great interview, great conversation. My first 1K views on YouTube. That interview is officially at 1,000 views, man. So everybody who's went to go check it out and tapped in and left your comments and gave me your feedback, I thank you very, very much. And if you haven't seen it, go tap in. Go let me know what you think. And, you know, man, we just going to keep this thing going. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. And I see y'all next time.